Hey everybody, GamerDad here, week 2 of my Gagaga Evolution. I'm going to go over the changes that I made to my deck. I'll tell you how I did, what killed me, and then I'll give you the whole deck list, the updated deck list that I used this week at the end. I went 3 and 3 again, so no improvement. I believe I got a little bit more competitive. I lost to a fire deck, which I don't believe it was Fire Fists, but he had a couple cards out, stopped me from special summoning. Gaga's need a special summon. There's nothing I could do. He pretty much mopped the floor with me. And then I lost to, I forget the other deck that I lost to. It was I want to say it was a bit more competitive, but I really can't remember what it was. And I told myself I would remember, but anyway. I did beat a vampire deck. I got lucky though. We grinded. I beat him in time, played him again, first round in the finals, and he just spanked me. Again, this deck is slow, and I just don't have the right back row and the right support for it yet, but I'm working on it. So I'm going to start off with the cards that I took out. I took out my Gardeners, and I took out both Gardeners, and I absolutely positively missed them, but I did not need them. Would have liked to have had them at times, didn't need them. I took out both Cyber Valleys. I needed the space. Granted, I could have used a light monster, but most of the time it didn't end up in the graveyard. It ended up vanished. When, it actually got attacked, most of the time it never got attacked anyway. And then I took out my Arcana Forces. And yes, I did replace them. But then I took out my Draining Shield. I never used it, and I needed the space. So that's what I took out. And I'll show you what I put in. Alright. First thing I put in was a second Mystic Tomato. I needed to be able to summon a spellcaster for the changes that I made. I put in another Waboku, just because I needed to stay alive. It did come in handy a couple times. I put in a third Magic Cylinder, which helped beautifully. I played a Blue Eyes deck, and I was struggling a little bit. My opponent took out all my monsters, then attacked with the 2 Blue Eyes he had on the field, and I had 3 Magic Cylinders face down. I flipped over 2 of them, and he was dead. He was shocked, but oh well. Threw in a Mirror Force. If he can't hurt, why not, right? And then this was completely unexpected. I had thought about going a completely different way with this deck, but these cards just kind of fell into my lap thanks to my daughter. She wanted me to put them in her deck. These are really hard cards to fit into. They don't just fit into any deck. I managed to get them to fit in thanks to the 3 Gaga Bolts I had and the Dark Hole. And I still struggled. I still wish I would have found another way to be able to get rid of them when I needed to, but here you go. We had Yubel Terra Incarnate, and Yubel the Ultimate Nightmare. Basically level 10, and I didn't realize this except in the middle of a match. Level 12. Oops. Yubel, all 3 Yubels, they don't take damage They have 0 attack, 0 defense. You do not take damage from battles involving them. At the end Yubel, if a creature attacks her, you deal damage to your opponent equal to that monster's life points, and I believe you destroy that monster. No, you don't. Nope. That would be Terror Incarnate. But the thing with her is, if you don't tribute a monster, she's destroyed. Which, my whole thing was trying to get a level 10 monster into the graveyard. I thought that would be great. It got me a lot of looks. People haven't seen these guys in a while. I did get the chance to have her in the graveyard. I did get to pull out my Super Galaxy Robo Destroyer and my Gustav Max from time to time. It did help me there. So it stalled my opponent a couple times. All in all, though, I need to do some more work with this. I do like the setup, the Gagas and the Yubels. I just got to figure out how I'm going to do it. Terror Incarnate. Let's see. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. I take no battle damage from battles involving this card. When this card is attacked by an opponent's monster, if you inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack, okay, and then at the end of the turn, destroy all monsters on the field if she's still around. But now when this card, face-up card, is removed from the field in any way, shape, or form, banished, sent back to your hand, sent back to the graveyard, used as a synchro summon, or better yet, an Xyz summon, you get the Ultimate Nightmare. Ultimate Nightmare, basically this card can attack, deal damage to your opponent, destroy the creature, and inflict damage to your opponent. There is nothing, you don't destroy anything. You don't have to tribute, nothing gets destroyed, it stays on the field until you decide to get rid of it. Or they find a way to get rid of it. Those are the new cards. Like I said, the bells, they worked for what they did. However, I ran into a lot of people with cards that wouldn't let me special summon, which means I couldn't use her, or cards that negated effects. If she doesn't have an effect, you have a 0/0 monster face up on your field and they attack you and you're screwed, especially when they have a card that says, hey, you cannot, your opponent cannot use trap cards in the battle phase. That sucks when you have 2 magic cylinders and a mirror force and you can't use them. It sucks. I didn't do anything to my extra deck. Excuse me. But yeah, 3-3, not really improving. I think I improved a little bit. I was a little bit more competitive. There's still some things I need to do, but let's just quickly go over the deck list. We got the 3 magicians. I still have the 3 girls. I thought I had a 3rd child. I don't. So, I still only have the 2 childs. The 2 Caesars. 2 Mystic Tomatoes. 3 Yubels. Then I have Gores, whom is probably going to come out. Gores and Blackluster Soldier. Spell cards. 3 bolts. 3 Revenge. Creature Swap did its job this week. Reinforcements of the army. I only have the 2 Caesars. The only reason I'm leaving it in there is just in case I really need it, but I'm probably going to get rid of it. Pot of Duality. Not being able to special summon the turn you use that. Kind of a bummer. I may go back to that Allure of Darkness, even though I said I don't like it. Book of Moon, always good. Dark Hole, same thing. 2 Wapagoos, an Impenetrable Attack. 3 Cylinder. 1 Mirror Force. 1 Reflect Slime. 2 Trap Holes, a Bottomless, and an Evacuation Device. And that was my deck that I ran with. Like I said, I got lucky against the vampires. Fire deck completely messed me up. Oh, and a Utopia deck. That was my fault. I had the Trap Hole and the Bottomless Trap Hole in my deck. I didn't realize what he was doing until it was too late. I got him the first turn, he got me the next 2. I managed to take his big Utopia from him, and I beat him that first time. The other 2, I mistimed, and it was just bad. But that's it, and I will be back next week with what modifications I make. I do like the U-Bells. Hopefully I can keep them in there. I'll talk to you. See you next week.